برنامه امشب با سخنرانی برادر عزیز و گرامی ما جناب آقای شاهنگیان به زبان انگلیسی آغاز میشه و بعدش به زبان فارسی برادر بزرگوار ما جناب آقای باقرزاده خدمت شما ارائه خواهند فرمود. برای سلامتیشان صلوات بلند ختم کنید.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها قليلا. صلواتنا. السلام عليك يا أبو عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Last night we touched upon some outlines of the subject, which is the uniqueness of Ashoora, and I'm going to start with the summarize of those outlines to get you ready for the next session of the discussion. The first point was that Ashoora is definitely an exceptional event and unique in that matter. History has shown that this event is outstanding and there is no second to it, and we discussed it pretty much in several dimensions last night. The other point was that we, as believers, followers of Ahlul Bayt and lovers of Karbala and Ashoora, feel obligated to spread the word and to share the blessings that we have received from this school of thought to others, and feel that duty on a daily basis. Ashoora has blessings for everybody. It doesn't only talk to Shia and the followers of Ahlul Bayt. Ashoora has a message for everybody, especially for us living in a non-Muslim country. We need to find a way to share the message of Karbala with those who are outsiders of our community or our sect of religion. We have learned historically and conventionally that usually when we talk about Ashoora, we start with the cosmological perspective of Ashoora, which refers to what happened in day one at the start of creation, and you remember all the communications between Adam and Archangel Gabriel, and what happened, which refers to the issue of Ashoora way thousands of years before even Imam Hussein was born. We usually emphasize on that aspect to show the importance or significance or importance of this issue. However, we have to be mindful that this type of reasoning, as much as it is dear to us, the believers who trust on those resources and the traditions and the hadiths that we have received, the others who are outsiders are not necessarily happy with that and not necessarily buying that. If we wanted to emphasize on those arguments to prove the values of Ashoora, we have to find better ways and discover different means and vehicles to communicate with others if you wanted to spread that word. And the spiritual concept and supernatural concept could be delivered with worldly, mundane, and earthly communication as well, if we find and we discover the language. In defense of the Ashoora and in explaining why Ashoora is so different from everything else, oftentimes we emphasize on things that are not necessarily very strong reasoning. One of them is the brutality of the enemy. We emphasize on the brutality of the enemy just to show that that is what makes Ashoora a unique event and an everlasting event and historical point. That is hard to sell. We also refer to the things that we were told about Yazid, and we try to show the ugly picture of Yazid in a way to find value for Ashoora and Imam Hussein. In other words, we find the value of the upraising of Imam Hussein mostly by describing how bad Yazid was. But I wanted to share with you, I have done this several times, we can prove that between Yazid and Muawiyah, you cannot even compare them, which one of them was more dangerous to Islam, and which one of them did more damage to Islam. It's incomparable. I mean, if you want to compare them like an ocean and a bucket of water. Yet, after 30 years that Muawiyah was in power, the Imamate turned to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He stayed in that position as Imam and the leader of Muslims, the true Muslims, and did not upraise against Muawiyah for 10 years. It's not because Muawiyah was better than Yazid. That is a very, very bad way of defending. That's the wrong thing. Has never been true. Yazid was not worse than Muawiyah. Muawiyah had 40 years of damaging, and yet Imam Hussein did not upraise. Yazid, as the moment that he started Imam Hussein upraise, Yazid didn't even have a chance to do bad things as a ruler when Imam Hussein started that. And that was not because Yazid was not the determining factor in the Ashoora. That's wrong. That was not. We have to look for somewhere else. The philosophy behind Ashoora is somewhere else, laid down somewhere else. A wrong defense can be harmful. What happens in the history of mankind was that after many, many prophets and noble individuals, somehow this says 124,000 of them, came down to the communities and did everything that they could have ever done, sacrificed everything that they had just to convey the message of Allah to the people. In that way, they were tortured in worse conditions, and many of them were killed in worse situation, most painful ways. All those sacrifices, of course, helped the humanity to grow. That is true. However, the price of their blood was much, much more than what was paid. And what happened throughout the history, without any exception, when those prophets passed away, in a period or matter of a generation or two, their message was so much deviated, so much manipulated, so much fabricated, and so much changed that is turned practically against their original message. And that happened over and over and over and over throughout the whole history. The message of the prophets was turned around and manipulated so badly that the next generation was totally following a wrong school of thought. Until the time of the last prophet. What happened this time around was Allah signed at the day of Qadir that I now sign this as a perfect school, religion. Now I'm satisfied. اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. Today I'm satisfied with what you have been calling it Islam. This is what I meant by Islam. After appointment of Imam Ali. And how many days after that event was that the Prophet passed away and the Sarifah happened? You see, very recent history again repeats itself over and over, the same phenomenon, the same vicious cycle. Again, things turn around and almost nothing of the true Islam remains in power. This has been the problem. Fruitless blood and the sacrifice of all those people over and over in the history. There has to be an end to that routine. And that's what